So today we'll revise about the velocity time graphs. Hari. So what should you know about the velocity time graphs? So we have discussed about velocity time graphs. I am just revising. Since you are reaching grade 11, you have to revise the grade 10 lessons. Yes. So in a velocity time graph, we take time into x-axis and velocity into y-axis. So we have to mention the units that we have used. Velocity is taken in meters per second, ms minus 1. Then if we take this type of a graph, the gradient of a graph is the slope. Gradient is given by the difference in y coordinates divided by the difference in x coordinates. So, difference in y coordinates means, yes, velocity, right? The difference in x coordinates is time. So, velocity divided by time. Difference in velocity divided by time is equal to acceleration. Nisa, you have to remember that the gradient of a velocity time graph gives the acceleration, right? I will give you time to write. Right? Then another factor that we have to consider is the area of the graph, right? Area of the graph. In a velocity time graph, once we consider the area covered by the graph or the area in between the graph and the time axis, that is this particular area, right? This area. So, since this shape is a triangle, we have to take it as half into base is the time axis and the height should be taken from the velocity axis. Again, in other words, that is time into velocity or velocity into time, right? That is equal to velocity into time. So, if we consider in units, velocity is taken in ms minus 1, time is taken in seconds. Therefore, ultimately we will get the answer as meters. And what does it mean? The area covered by a velocity time graph gives the displacement. Or if it is a linear pathway, even the distance is equal to the displacement. We talk about velocity if it is a linear pathway only. So, that is equal to the displacement and it is equal to the distance as well. Enang apit kiyan pulang area of a velocity time graph gives that is displacement. Displacement. Sorry. We can take down this. After that, we can discuss about the shapes of velocity time graphs. Last time we discussed about the shapes of the displacement time graphs. You can maintain a small notebook to write these, right? Notebook means you can have a small exercise book with 40 pages like. Hari. Shall we mention about the shapes of velocity time graphs? Hari. And we are moving on. First one will take something like this. One with a positive gradient like this. Positive gradient. Positive gradient can here there අපි slope එක ගන්නකොට we'll say that here the value is 2 and here the velocity is we'll say 6 කියලා. එතකොට when you are taking the gradient කියන්නේ the difference in y coordinates, that is velocity. So 6 minus 0, ms minus 1. Right here this is in seconds and this is in meters per second. Right, then divided by time is 2 minus 0, that is 2 seconds. So the answer is a positive one. 6 divided by 2, that is 3. ms minus 1 divided by seconds, that is ms minus 2. So this type of a graph has a positive gradient. This shape gives a positive gradient. Positive gradient, and it indicates, the gradient gives the acceleration. So when we have this type of a graph, when we are explaining the motion, right, when we are describing the motion, we have to say that this is a uniform acceleration. Why? The slope is a constant, the gradient is constant. It is not something like this. If it is like this, we can't say that it is uniform. But here we are given a uniform gradient, therefore we can say that this is a uniform acceleration. Uniform acceleration. Right, uniform acceleration. That is number 1. ඊට පස්සේ, as the second one, if you get this type of a graph, time, velocity, time passes, velocity does not change. The gradient is 0. Zero gradient. Time passes, velocity does not change. Again, it indicates uniform velocity, right? Time passes, velocity does not change. That is uniform velocity. Uniform velocity. Only thing is that when you are given a graph, you have to look at the axis, whether it is a displacement time graph or a velocity time graph. Then read the graph. graph එක කියවන්න ඕනේ. මොකක්ද මේකෙන් කියන්නේ කියලා. එතකොට අර VT graphs and ST graphs පැටලෙන්නේ නැහැ. හරිද? Then third one, time and velocity. So if you get something like this, the gradient is negative. If I show you after putting the values, මෙතන values දාමු. Here this is 2 and here this is 4. එතකොට gradient equals මේ difference in y coordinates 4 minus and final velocity minus initial velocity. එතකොට අපි මෙතන ගන්න ඕනේ final velocity is මේ. So we select 2 points in order to find the gradient. So here it is 2 and 0. X value is 2, y value is 0. Here that is 0. Here x value is 0 and y reading is 4. එතකොට gradient equals difference in y coordinates divided by the difference in x coordinates. එහෙනම් difference in y coordinates කියන්නේ 4 minus 0. 4 minus 0. Right, ms minus 1 divided by the difference in x coordinates කියන්නේ දැන් අපි ඉස්සෙල්ලා ගත්තේ 4 නේ. එහෙනම් x coordinate according to that is relevant to that is 0. එතකොට it is 0 minus 2 seconds. Right? So 4 divided by minus 2 again, it is minus 2 ms minus 2. Henang this gives a negative gradient. Another gradient is negative. Negative gradient means here this minus value indicates that it is a deceleration. Negative gradient means that is a deceleration. Right? And since the slope is constant, since it is uniform, we can say that this is a uniform deceleration. Uniform deceleration. Right? Uniform deceleration. Now you can summarize. Harida. Finished? Hari neda? That is all about velocity time graphs. And then if we remind about the scalars and vectors, and also the acceleration due to gravity. Scalars and vectors to calling, I will these are easy no scalars and vectors. I will show you how to draw a graph when we project an object vertically upwards. හැමතිස්සෙම අහන ඒවානේ. When an object is falling freely. ටික මතක් කරගමු. හරිද දැන්? On first I mentioned about the gradient and the area of a velocity time graph. Then we learned about the three different shapes of velocity time graphs: uniform acceleration, uniform velocity, and uniform deceleration. When you are describing a motion, it is essential to give the word uniform. Because when the gradient is a constant, you have to definitely mention that it is uniform. Then consider an object which is projected vertically upwards. Vertically upwards. Right? In order to project something vertically upwards, it should have an initial velocity. If it is 0, it will not move. There should be an initial velocity. We'll say u equals 40 ms minus 1. Right? Then it will move vertically upwards and it will reach the maximum height. Maximum height. Right? At maximum height, it stops. Right? It will reach the maximum possible height and it will stop. So at the maximum height, the velocity becomes 0. Right? And what type of a motion is that? Upward motion. Upward motion is, yes, what type of a motion? It is moving against gravity. Moving against gravity. And you know acceleration due to gravity is 10 ms minus 2. It means that the velocity reduces by 10 ms minus 1 in each second. Velocity reduces. Now this is moving against gravity. Therefore, it is moving in a uniform deceleration. Uniform deceleration. Right? Upward motion is a uniform deceleration. Right? Uniform deceleration. And that is minus g. G is acceleration due to gravity. So upward motion is minus G, right? That is, since it is, we have mentioned it as a deceleration, deceleration is a negative acceleration. In නිසා deceleration වලට අපි minus දාන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. That is 10 ms minus 2. 10 ms minus 2. Right? Hari. එතකොට by looking at this, you can say what is the time taken for the object to reach the maximum height. The object takes how many seconds to reach the maximum height? Upward motion is a uniform deceleration. Velocity reduces by 10 ms minus 1 in each second. It starts at 40 ms minus 1. So in each second, velocity reduces by 10. So for the velocity to become 0, how many seconds it should take? Yes? Here. Yes, Gavisha? To reach the maximum height, how many seconds should it take? Okay, Induni has sent the answer. Gavisha? Yes? Hari Miyuri, Amadi, Sesandi. What I asked from Gavisha, there is no response. So that is 4 seconds, neither. For an MCQ, you can just get it as 4 seconds. You can do a calculation for the upward motion. You write the equation A minus A equals V minus U divided by T. So the final velocity is 0. And instead of acceleration, you put minus 10. Final velocity is 0. Initial velocity is 40. So you can find the value of t. Minus 10 t equals minus 40. Therefore, t equals 4 seconds. Right? Then, after reaching the maximum height, it will return. Right? It is moving down. So, the downward motion it starts from 0 and velocity increases by 10 ms minus 1 in each second. Therefore, actually it is according to acceleration due to gravity. That is also a uniform acceleration, the downward motion, right? Uniform acceleration, but to the opposite direction. Therefore, for the total motion, for the overall motion, if we draw a graph, actually you are not asked to draw graphs on the negative side, but if we draw a graph for the overall motion, it is something like that. The upward motion is a uniform deceleration. It started from 40, and when time equals 4 seconds, the velocity became 0, right? Then to the opposite direction, the acceleration increases with time. මෙතන negative කියලා කියන්නේ the direction, right? The direction is indicated by positive and negative. So to the opposite direction, the velocity increases with time since it is a uniform acceleration. If you draw a graph for the overall motion, හැබැයි මේ side එකට යන graphs ඔයගලන්ට O level වලට එන්නේ නැහැ. Therefore, if we draw the graphs for the two motions separately, for the upward motion, it is a uniform deceleration. So you can draw something like this. And for the downward motion, if we draw a graph, It is a uniform acceleration, right? It is a uniform acceleration starting from 0. If it is for the overall motion, we will get a graph like this. තේරුණාද දැන් මෙතන downward motion එකට තනියම graph එකක් ඇන්දොත් it is something like this. But for the overall motion, it will be something like this because it is to the opposite direction. හරි. ඔන්නක හොඳට හිතට ගන්න ප්‍රශ්නවල අහුවාම ඔයගොල්ලෝ පටලවා ගන්න දෙයක්. So for objects falling freely, I will teach you next time. And also acceleration due to gravity. කියන්න දෙකුත් නෑ. Acceleration due to gravity we have already mentioned here. පුතේ මේ දැන් ඔන්න today will be the last day for December in the paper class, right? 27th I have given a holiday. We have done 4 classes for the month of December. ඊට පස්සේ ඔන්න January 3rd is the Poya day. Therefore we are meeting once again on the 10th of January in the paper class. හරිද හොඳට අහගන්න. දැන් අදත් කීප දෙනෙක් හිටියා කොච්චර කිව්වද දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ grade 11 responsible නේද 15 plus years of age. So you should be able to realize this. Why I have got up early in the morning at 5:30 and joining a class, and why my parents spend money on me and their valuable time. Now it is Saturday is a holiday, so for most of the people, therefore they also can sleep until 8-9, but they are also making a commitment either for you all. But හිතන්න ඕනේ I have to take the maximum benefit out of this කියලා. join වෙලා මේ වීඩියෝ එක on කරන්නෙත් නැතුව අහන ප්‍රශ්න වලට උත්තර දෙන්නෙත් නැතුව හිටියාම නම් I can't take any responsibility. But in an online class, it is in my online classes, it is essential to turn on the video. Then සමහර ඒවා එහෙම කියන්නේ නැතුව ඇති. සමහර ඒවා මට ඇහිලා තියෙනවා වීඩියෝ off කරගන්න කියනවා. ටීචර්ගේ ඉන්ටර්නෙට් කනෙක්ෂන් එක ස්ලෝ වෙනවා කියලා. bandwidth අඩු වෙනවා කියලා ළමයින්ට වීඩියෝ off කරන්න කියනවා. ඔය හැමතිස්සෙම කියන්නේ වීඩියෝ on කරන්න කියලා. මොකද නැත්නම් වැඩක් නැහැනේ මට එහෙම I don't have any power to see when you have kept the video off. හරිද? මට එහෙම අමුතු බලයක් නැහැ. ඒ නිසා අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම වීඩියෝ එක on කරලා ප්‍රශ්න වලට උත්තර දෙන්න ලෑස්ති වෙලා join වෙන්න. කැමරාස් වල issues, microphones වල issues තියෙනවා නම් අනිවාර්යෙන් ඒවා හදාගෙන. හරිද? එකට පොඩ්ඩක් invest කළාට කමක් නැහැ because you don't have the travelling cost. ඊළඟට the cost for clothing අර දැන් physical classes යනකොට ඒවටත් spend කරනවානේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ. ඒ ප්‍රශ්න මොකුත් නැහැනේ. ඒ නිසා ඒ යෙදමින් ඒ ටික ඉතුරු කරගෙන හරි webcam එකක් ගන්න. හරිද? It is something essential. නැත්තම් මම දන්නවා සමහර අය කැමරාවල issues නෙවෙයි තියෙන්නේ. බොරුවට ඉන්නේ. right? අර theory class එකේ කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා හැමදාම එක්කෝ මට මතක නෑ කියලා හිතලා වෙන්නදී සතියක් කර සතියක් එක සතියක අසනීපයි ඊළඟ සතියේ connection issue. ඔය දෙක මාරුවෙන් මාරුවට එවනවා හැම දවසම. හරිද? එහෙම වුණොත් අපරාධේ මට නම් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෑ. හරි fee එක ගෙවනවානේ. හරි එහෙනම් මට ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෑ වීඩියෝ එක off කරගෙන හිටියත් නිදාගෙන හිටියත් මට issue එකක් නෑ කියලා හිතන්න පුළුවන්. But I don't do like that. If you are in my class, I have a responsibility on all of you. නේද? ඒක නිසා අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම videos off on කරගෙන ඉන්න. මම නැත්තම් personally messages යවනවා parents ලට. කියලා inform කරලා. හරිද මේක හදලා දෙන්න නැත්තම් I can't take any responsibility. මොකද ප්‍රශ්නකට උත්තර දෙන්නෙත් නැත්තම් පේන්නේ ඉන්නෙත් නැත්තම් කොහොමද මම කියන්නේ? නේද? දැන් වැරදියට දෙයක් කිව්වොත් ඒක හදා ගන්න පුළුවන් අපිට කතා කරලා ප්‍රශ්න වරදිනවනේ මොකද ඔක්කොම දන්නවා නම් ක්ලාස් එකකට එන්න ඕනේ නැහනේ. ඒ ටික හදාගෙන you are joining the paper class to learn how to write the answers for the questions in order to get marks. ලකුණු හම්බ වෙන විදිහට උත්තර ලියන්න ඕනේනේ. ඒකට තමයි මේ කරන්නේ. උදේ පාන්දර නැගිටගෙන නේද? එතකොට මේ you have to take the maximum use අපරාධේ නැත්තම් හරිම පවක්. පේරන්ට්ස්ලාටත් කරන අසාධාරණයක් ඔය එක පැත්තකින් තියමු ඔයාලටම කරන ලොකු අසාධාරණයක්. තේරුණාද? ඒ නිසා ඔන්න මට අනිත් දවසේ ඔන්න 10th of January ගොඩක් දවස් තියෙනවා. ඔය issues තියෙන ඒවා හදාගන්න. 20 අද කවදද 20th නේ. එතකොට 27th නෑ 3rd නෑ. ආයි හම්බෙන්නේ 10th of January with the theory paper class right? අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම ඔන්නේ ටික හදාගෙන වීඩියෝ එක ඔන් කරගෙන මිසක් ජොයින් වෙන්න එපා. 5:30 වීඩියෝ ඔන් කරන්න පොඩි කමිට්මන්ට් එකක් කරන්න ඕනේ. මොකද අපිට දේවල් ගන්න නම් we have to do a particular commitment. එහෙම නැත්නම් නිකන් ඔහේ හිටියට ලැබෙන්නේ නැහනේ. නේද? චුට්ටක් මහන්සි වෙන්න ඕනේ හොඳ රිසල්ට් එකකට යන්න. ඒ නිසා අනිවාර්යෙන් ඒ ටික හදාගෙන ඔහොම හොල්මන් වගේ ඉන්න නම් එන්න එපා සමහර අය. දැක්කනේ නම කියනවා උත්තර දෙන්නේ නැහැ වීඩියෝ එක ඔන් කරන්නෙත් නැහැ. I don't like එහෙම ඉන්නවට. තේරුණාද? ඔන්න ඔය ටික හදාගෙන ජොයින් වෙන්න කියන විදිහට වැඩ ටික කරගෙන යන්න. අර දැන් මේ ටිකක් දවස් නිවාඩු හම්බ වෙනවා. You can enjoy the holidays as well because you have to relax. And because from in 2026 from January onwards you have to work continuously until December, right? Any support duck break එකක් ගන්න, you can reset yourselves. ඒකට අර checklist එක එහෙම හදලා ලෑස්ති වෙන්න තාම හදාගෙන නැත්නම් පාඩම් කරන්න checklist එක the topics subtopics ඒවා ලියාගෙන you can make columns in front of them. Once you study you are going to tick in front of them. අපි ප්‍රශ්න කතා කළාම අමතක වෙච්ච දේවල් ටික නෝට් ඩවුන් කරගන්න ඕගලන්ට පාඩම් කරලා අමතක ටික ඊපස්සේ ඒ ටික අද දවසේම පාඩම් කරලා you have to tick in the checklist. තේරුණාද? you have to follow these instructions. January ඉඳන් I will send messages to the parents, right? That you are not responding here. ඔයගලන්ගෙන් උපරිම දෙයක් දෙන්න නිසායි එහෙම කරන්නේ තරහකට නෙවෙයි. ඒ නිසා ඒ ටික හදාගෙන join වෙන්න on the 10th. At theory class we are having on Tuesday, right? I have put messages in the groups. Hari. එතකොට ඔන්න එහෙනම් අදට අපි will stop there. Then I will mention about an object which is freely falling, like an object, a fruit falling from a tree. And ඒ ටික අපි we will discuss in the coming week on the 10th of January, right? Hari. Okay, then stay safe and have a nice week. Since we are meeting in the meeting in the new year, I wish you all a very happy new year, right? In which all your dreams, good dreams, expectations become a reality, right? Because 2026 is something important for you. That will determine it will not determine the end of life, right? It will not determine your whole life, but it is an important milestone in your lives, right? So start the new year with a great determination and a commitment, right? Okay. Stay safe then. Have a nice time. Okay, bye.